This episode of Tekzilla is sponsored by Domain.com.
It's been close to 4 years since the last GTA game has graced store shelves, and now the long-awaited GTA 5 is finally out. And here to give us a rundown on this latest installment about crime, larceny, vice, boosting cars, all sorts of goodness, is Rev3Games' very own Adam Sessler. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
So this one has been a pretty long time coming.
Yes.
What, 4 was 2008?
That sounds right.
Wow. So what's going on in the storyline this time around?
Well, they've moved it from Liberty City, which is kind of their New York City, to Los Santos, or the larger San Andreas, which is Southern California, both the city of Los Angeles, and then they have elements that are in the high desert and in the mountains and at the beach. It's a very impressive game world. It actually reminds me that the state of California is quite diverse in terms of its topography. So
that's a good point. So we've been to San Andreas before,
yes.
though. How is Los Santos different from the previous iterations?
The game approaches it from a much different angle. San Andreas was a tale told from one protagonist's point of view, and it took place kind of in the 1990s in South Central when there were tons of gang problems that were in Los Angeles. Now it's a less specific time frame. It's supposed to be contemporary, and it has 3 main characters, and that's the part that I found really fascinating about it. You have 3 different criminals at different stages of their life, and like a good crime story, certain circumstances bring this disparate group of miscreants together, and that starts getting this very, very long and involved story going.
So we've got Trevor, Michael, and Franklin. Is it very easy to switch back and forth between these 3 characters, or is it kind of kludgy? Well,
it actually takes a little bit of time before you get all 3 characters. There's kind of a very luscious way that it kind of tells its tale. Once all 3 are available, if you're not in a mission, this really cool, and it's quite effective, it pops up, the camera does, over the entire game world, moves over to where the other character is and drops back down, finding them usually in the middle of doing something, like throwing a guy off a bridge, or waking up drunk with a bunch of dead bodies around.
I've heard about that one. Okay.
It really can be fun and exciting. Now, inside of some missions, and it's worth pointing this out, you don't have the free movement between all the characters at all times when you're in a shootout. But when the game does allow you to do it, you can move back and forth, and you can take advantage of their different skill sets, maybe their different arsenals, and more importantly, their placement on the map. So if you have Trevor, who likes to have explosive things, who's on a higher level, you move to him, he blows up a few cars, you go back down. It feels like you're directing an action movie more than just playing a game.
That's pretty neat. So I read that there's like over 100 hours worth of gameplay between the main missions.
I think so.
Main missions, all the side missions, all the, just going to get your hair cut and doing whatever.
And that's the part that's really interesting, is that there's these small little, there's golf, there's tennis, there's darts, there's hunting. In the past, these have been somewhat tedious. Here they help your character, because by doing things, you can sort of level up certain skill sets. But moreover, it's fun. The tennis game is a fun game in its own right.
Well, I play tennis, so
game.
Do you think I'll be better at it if you actually play it in real life? Are there any
possible
skills?
I think their famous ping pong game that Rockstar made, that some of that technology has been brought over to this, but that's what's so remarkable. There's an attention to detail and almost like a need to make sure that every mission, every event feels essential. And that's not true for almost all the previous GTA games, where I always felt like you had to eat your vegetables before you got to the dessert that's
to the
supposed
meat
to be
of
on the
it.
Exactly. Thank you. Blah blah blah. And in this one, everything feels like someone put thought into it. They want to make it feel distinct from everything else that's in the game, and it really is it's very impressive.
It doesn't seem overwhelming to have that much open world to explore?
Just allow for a lot of time. I think I put somewhere between 60 and 70 hours into it.
Not bad.
I had the disadvantage of having a time limit, and even with that pressure, I really never found myself bored in the course of playing this game. But yeah, this is something that you can find, and remember, the online part hasn't come out yet. So just a single-player game alone should offer weeks, if not months, worth of fun for most people out there.
Gotcha. Now, I know that there's this new combat system in place, a new cover system. Did you find that was a lot more helpful during these big, huge firefights that you're experiencing in the game?
Combat just works better.
Okay.
It's still not perfect. Grand Theft Auto is kind of jack of all trades, master of none, but the mastery, the level is much higher. The driving is easier, and in the combat, it just feels more solid. It feels also, the environment you're in offer some variety in your approach, whereas before it tended to be, okay, let's just do a whack-a-mole and just shoot all the guys, move forward.
So now, I know some reviews came out on Monday. People were talking about a lot of the issues of a female portrayal in the game. Do you feel like this is a missed opportunity to not have a strong female character as one of the playable people that you can do in GTA 5?
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, I think a lot of people look to Rockstar as, they're so big, they're so prominent in the game industry that if we're trying to do something, which I think is necessary, necessary, which is get more representation in the characterizations that are in games, that people want Rockstar to go that way. At the same time, I have to say that having played the game and the story, it is a masculine tale, and not one that is very positive in its portrayal of masculinity and all the denial and those dreams that they're supposed to come with it. So in that regard, I think for the purposes of the game, I see why they went in that direction. But what I think makes me feel more confident about it is that these aren't archetypes. These are actual characters that have a lot of complexity to them, and none of them are admirable in any regard. And if you look at a lot of other games out there where the gender, the race, just the character of the character seems almost, indifferent. And so why can't we have a woman? Why can't we have a person of color play that? Here, there is some thought there. Having said that, I do understand how some people have looked at the portrayal of the very, very small amount of female characters as a little bit arch, but in the overall sort of plethora of horrible people, and that's all that is in this world, it is actually rather consistent with it.
No, they're all just pretty terrible people, is what it boils down to.
I compared the game to like the works of Jonathan Swift. Like, it is more vicious and savage in the satire than in any of the previous ones, and it almost reminds me of the Jacobean revenge tragedies of John Webster. Like, it's just a horrible portrayal of horribleness that has a strange moral center that's trying to bubble to the surface.
All right, so there's a moral center of some kind.
I think if you look hard enough, you can feel the rage at the world as we
just dig
live
through the
in
bodies with a shovel, and eventually you'll get to the core there. So what would you say is probably the biggest improvement for this game in the series?
I think it's the driving.
The driving.
Which has always been something I felt that, especially in Grand Theft Auto 4, that most of the challenge when you're in a car is against the physics. And now I feel that when something went wrong, it's not that the driving has gotten, it's not like magnetized to the road as in some other open world games, but when I screwed up, I felt it was my fault. And it wasn't some quirk to the way that the weight of the car has been set.
So you're a terrible person and a bad driver.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down
to.
Okay.
I really learned a lot about myself in the course of playing this game.
So multiplayer isn't available yet, or it wasn't during your review process.
Right.
But what do you expect out of that?
Well, the multiplayer will be coming out the first week of October. Okay. So even if you buy the game right now, it's not ready. I expect something very interesting. They're calling it GTA Online, not GTA 5 multiplayer or GTA 5 online. It really seems that they're looking at it as a very separate game. I think a lot of the fun things you do in the game, like the heist that you go on, there's a way you can do that with your friends. You can even build levels.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a creative system
like a sandbox
that's in it.
Builder.
Yeah, I mean, using the assets from the game. So, and then on top of that, you can fly planes with your friends. I would like to think you can go play tennis. But the part that sounds really intriguing, it may not be implemented at the beginning, is there's a stock market in the single player game.
Right.
And it looks like they're going to have one in the multiplayer. So all the player behavior will change the value of certain things that you can invest in. It sounds incredibly ambitious. It's something that I probably would be a little suspicious of, but having played the single-player game and they've realized things that I didn't think possible, I'm very excited to see what they pull off with the multiplayer.
And now I'm thinking maybe actually GTA 5 is just a really great tennis simulator at its core.
I think that's it.
That's really what.
Come for the tennis. If you need to shoot and steal a car, yeah, feel free.
Exactly. And final question. So, are you going to be an Xbone guy? Are you a PS4 guy? Both? Which way are you going?
My career path requires me to become wizened on all the offerings that are out there. Yeah. I think the question is, and I have not come to this conclusion, so I'm not trying to completely dodge your question. When it comes to the big multi-platform games, say like Watch Dogs or Battlefield, I haven't decided which system I'm going to be playing that on yet. But I really do like the feel of the PlayStation controller, which is a first for me because Sony's controllers have always been a little bit like, about.
All right. Well, where can people follow your work?
Okay. YouTube.com/Rev3Games. Obviously, you can also find us at Revision3.com. We're all over the place, but go to YouTube, hit subscribe. You'll be happy.
And also, if you missed their big GTA 5 live stream, you can watch that on the site as well.
Yes, that,
right?
and there's a whole bunch of other videos, including me giving some advice, both dietary and otherwise, about how to play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Dietary, very good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Adam.
My pleasure.
All right, we've got more Tekzilla still to come, but before we do that, it's time to thank one of our sponsors.
Entrepreneurs and innovators are all turning ideas into realities online, backed by the strength of a .NET domain name. .NET is one of the world's most popular domain extensions, and a .NET domain name from domain.com will inject your business with instant credibility. Already have a .com? Purchase the corresponding .NET from domain.com and protect your online brand. Is the .com you want already taken? The .NET is a perfect alternative. We like domain.com because they're affordable. .NET addresses are only $8.99 a year. They're also reliable and easy to use. The guys at Domain.com want to hook up our fans with an awesome offer. Get 20% off their already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code Tekzilla at Domain.com's checkout. That's 20% and big time savings. And don't forget to use the coupon code Tekzilla. Hey, and when you think domain names, think Domain.com.